Buenas noches from beautiful Granada, Nicaragua. That's right, I finally did leave Managua today. You probably or may have already watched the video today about leaving the hotel and the circumstances. So let me roll back to that and tell you what kind of day I had today. The military had a phrase about improvise, adapt, and overcome, and I'm glad I still know how to do that and still have a smile on my face in the process. So, I was planning on having my buddy, who was my tour guide 2 years ago, drive me, and he wasn't able to do that. I mentioned that in the prior episode, so I was looking for the new driver. So I was checking out. I had to check out by noon. Wasn't going to be able to check into the rental in Granada until 4 p.m. It's an hour to 90-minute drive. I figured with the rush hour during lunch, it was going to be closer to the 90 minutes. So I scheduled the driver to pick me up at 11:30, give me plenty of time to go downstairs, check out. Checkout was really just handing the key. So I have a lot of luggage with me. I've got two full-size luggage bags, one small-size luggage bag. I've got a keyboard case with me. I've got my leather backpack with the computer in it. I've got a Camelback, a bag with the Sharps container that I did the video that I purchased in Managua. So I got a bunch of stuff. I'm really good at packing. I was really efficient at packing when I had 4 bags, and somehow even buying a little bit of stuff doesn't make it all fit well. Regardless, so had to be downstairs for an 11:30 pickup, and at 11:45 pickup. Be checked out by 12. I was done with my bags on the side of the road at 11:30, waiting for the driver, who had already agreed to the 2,200 cord drive, which is about 50. I'm sorry, it's like $60. Not a huge number. So he didn't show, and it just canceled after he was about 15 minutes late. It just canceled the order. So I had planned on one driver. My buddy wasn't able to at the last moment. Let me know the day prior. Confirmed it that morning. He didn't have anybody else he could send. Didn't have vehicles ready. Fine. The first in driver that I scheduled as the replacement just canceled on me. So now I'm down to the third driver. Third driver answered quickly, got there timely. We packed all of my stuff and me into a little tiny Toyota Yaris. My knees are pretty much in my chest for the 90-minute drive. So we get stuck in traffic for a little bit. Now, the beauty of this was, one, it's an air-conditioned car. He's got the windows up. He's not buying anything from the street vendors on the side of the road when they walk up to the vehicle or trying to wash his windows and such. We get to where the rental unit is, and again, I'd already mentioned before, I hadn't heard from the owner of the property. So with Verbo, you're supposed to be able to get contacted by the owner 72 hours before the rental. Did not, and I contacted him and didn't get a response by their internal email on Saturday. So yesterday, on Monday, I sent a second email, polite, and didn't get a response to that one. So early this morning, I had contacted Verbo, got their bot, and it gave me the contact information, his name and his phone number, and called that number, and his voicemail box is full. So I'm already having the feeling that this is not going to work out. I started looking online ahead of time for contingency places here in Granada. So we get to Granada, we get to where the property should be, and there's no easy, immediate answer of how to get to the house. It appears as if it's in the backyard. We go around the block, and again, it appears as if it's in the backyard. We don't see immediate access to it. So the driver, and bless him, he was great. We talked to a couple of the neighbors, and you can see the third floor balcony that I've been bragging about in the photos, that I was going to be doing yoga and looking over Lake Granada and on the third floor and drinking coffee in the morning, watching the sunrise over the lake and yada, yada, yada. That balcony, that third floor balcony, was in total disarray. There was nothing affixed to it. The paint was falling off. The iron grating on it was bent. And the neighbors told us that nobody's lived there for over a year. It was abandoned, and nobody's renting it. So I'm out $500 that I spent back in September. So looked over at the driver because now, I mean, he's been helping me for the last 10 minutes. He should have already been on his way. I tipped him a little bit extra, like an extra 10%. Asked him, how much to get me to a hotel. And of course, that's when our internet on our phones was almost non-existent. So struggling to get the address to a hotel here in Granada because I'd already figured out, you know what, I'm really just not feeling Granada long term. Granada long term for 2 weeks was really after a month of being in the main city of Managua and getting administrative things done. My intent was I would live like a tourist for 2 weeks in a town that has a lot of expats and a lot of expat influence, where there'd be a little more English spoken than normal, and I would just blend in as on my vacation mode for 2 weeks before I went up to Matagalpa and had to continue finishing my paperwork and looking for long-term lease. When that one didn't work out, I had already looked at a few houses or places to stay up in Matagalpa, and I said, you know what, I could just go up there 2 weeks early. And I wanted to just go directly to Matagalpa this morning, but if I did and the vacancy here was valid, I was going to lose my $500. So we got down here, we looked up a hotel, and the hotel I'm at right now is Hotel Real Granada. And it's a family-owned business. The gentleman's originally from Costa Rica. They're great people. Helped me get my bags in the door. I literally walked in right at 2 o'clock. They opened up, taking, for the day at 2. So I got a really great deal here for like $40 for the night. Wanted to know if I wanted to stay longer. They'd give me a better deal, and I was like, no, I'm just recollecting my thoughts, and I really need to get up to Matagalpa. So I got one night here for like 35. I think it's $40. There's a free breakfast in the morning, and I got a giant room here. There is 2 double beds and a single bed. There is a full kitchenette over here. There is a individual bathroom, so a really great value. I came in here and they use mini splits for air conditioning here. The mini split was set for 17 degrees Celsius. I had been sweating and I was freezing. I had to turn this back up to 25 Celsius, so you're looking at the low 70s for Fahrenheit. But very pleasant people, beautiful. I got a couple pictures I'm going to post up on here later. There's some other tourists here. There was a group of people, Switzerland, Canada. There was a gentleman here from, I don't remember which state in the States, but there's a handful of visitors here. And once I got in here, I was just focused on let me get VBRMO on the phone, let me get my refund in process. Let me confirm a room once I know that they can't get a hold of the owner, and they don't try to say, oh no, somebody's waiting for you with the keys to a place that doesn't exist. Could not be rented. So about 10 minutes on hold, Verbo says, okay, well, let me look at your chat line. Let us try to call the owner. And I said, well, by all means, go for it because his voicemail's full. So they called me back later on. Yeah, we tried to call. Okay, we're going to try to send him an email. And if we can't get a response to the email, I'm going to be calling you back with your refund information. Well, they did exactly that. So Verbo, to their credit, at the administrative level, realizes that this is a bogus scam, that somebody took my money 6 months ago, that there is no rental to be had, there is no contact with the owner, that the rental ads are fictitious and somebody's just siphoning money. I don't know if I'm the first to notify them, obviously, or it wouldn't hopefully still be posted. But I will be getting a refund in roughly 5 business days. Now, also to their credit, because I've heard this, I'm not the only person this happens to with Verbo. They're offering me, if I want to rent something else with them in the next 6 months, they will give me equal credit on top of the refund. So I'm getting my $500 back. If I wanted to rent something else through them in the next 6 months, they would give me $500 credit towards the next rental. Which is admirable because, again, it wasn't actually the website that did the mistake. It's the unscrupulous scam artist who lives in Lake City, Florida, and I have a name and a phone number, but I'm going to refrain from putting it on here. Told my buddy, the tour guide, and he goes, yeah, he had 2 other clients have that happen to him recently with the same website. So buyer beware. Also, Verbo is linked with Booking, which is linked with Expedia. So creatures of different veins, but they're all affiliated. So I know I'm getting my money back in about a week's time. So at that point, it was time to confirm the room. Surprisingly, one of the criteria I have to look for up in the mountains, where it's 65 to 85 Fahrenheit all year round and about 2,300 foot elevation, is looking for hot water. I want a hot shower. Their water is cold. It's mountain cold water. And I have rheumatoid, and I need a hot shower occasionally. Now, today was one of those days I'd happily take the cold shower and cool off. But up there, it's going to be a requirement. So luckily, I found a hotel by the name of Hotel Work Coffee. Sounds like it was right up my alley. It should be retired coffee, and then I could own it. I got a really good deal on them for 13 nights for $390. So I'm not paying $400 for just under 2 weeks. And it has a free breakfast included in as well. So all these hotels I've stayed at for the first 6 weeks in country will have all had a free breakfast included. I only eat twice a day, so that's one meal I don't have to worry about. And at the moment, while I'm in hotel rooms without a full kitchen, I just go out to find a meal. So I got the room booked and confirmed. Now I go to get a driver, and I had confirmed on our WhatsApp chat page what is a good price to offer a driver to do the almost 3.5 hour drive from Granada to Matagalpa tomorrow, and confirmed it. 4,000 cord is a really good number. It's just over, it's like $120. 3.5 hour drive one way, and then they got to go somewhere after that. Most of these guys all do inner city driving, not intra-city driving. So I've got a confirmed driver. I got an air-conditioned place. So once I had all of tomorrow lined up, and then I had to call family and on the chat and give updates and give other updates and get another update and trying to read through some email, I finally decided, yeah, I guess I will go. I was kind of exhausted with the day. I wasn't going to go out to eat. So I asked the owner here for recommendations. He drew me a little map, told me where the city square was, where the main Central Park is, where the main cathedral is, because in most of Latin America, there's always a Central Park and a cathedral pretty close to each other. And sometimes they'll even have multiple Central Parks, but there's always the biggest one. So that's where a lot of the food vendors are set up. That's where a lot of the restaurants, basically a restaurant row and other industries was. Never been in Granada before. Only knew it was an old colonial town. So a lot of the buildings are literally the remnants of 500, 400-year-old buildings. I got a couple pictures. It's busy. It's a smaller town. It's not a full-size city. But I found a restaurant, Gala Forest Bistro and Cafe. They just recently opened for dinner. They used to just be breakfast and lunch. So it's an old colonial house. If you're not familiar with the colonial houses, particularly in Latin America, you'll walk in, it's a big box. And there's a middle garden courtyard in the middle. And then you walk around the corners to all the rooms on the 4 walls. So you're sitting on the inside of that courtyard. And I had a Mexican pabil, which is a shredded pork, as tacos. And I had an atoll, which is a corn drink, which you don't find often in the States. And had great service, young crew. Their English was great. At Granada, there's going to be more English speakers because there's more expats here, so it's a little more understandable. But very young people in the service industry. Their English is great. They're all striving to speak better English. There's a lot of American U.S. envy in a lot of different parts of the culture. But I had great food. I paid all of $17 for a fancy drink I can't get in the States, and nice, authentic, real Mexican pabil tacos. The tortillas were incredible, little tiny ones. So you hear street tacos, you think the little tiny tortilla. Well, they were that size, but they're actually fluffy tortillas because they're made with real masa, and it's just not fine ground, pulverized corn flour. So had a nice meal, all of $17. Took the long way home, got my mile and a half workout on the streets through dark, unlit alleys, and there are places where this could be sketchy. If you were inebriated and you're a tourist and you were going down these roads by yourself, there is a chance you could be causing yourself a problem. I'm stone cold sober. I'm not small. I'm walking with a purpose. My head's on a swivel. I'm not scared or nervous, but I've got a different level of situational awareness more often than not, that it's hard to surprise me in those kinds of settings. That coming from the guy who's been mugged in Tacoma, Washington decades ago. But the beauty of cutting the Granada trip short. So again, Granada was kind of a speed bump. I wanted to be in Matagalpa. I could only book 3 months through the app for Airbnb. It wouldn't let me book longer than that, and that was the main one. So I have 3 months booked starting on March 18th until June 17th. And I knew I needed to spend about a month in Managua. I'd never been there. I needed to do administrative stuff in the capital, like the health certificate with the main private hospital of Vivian Pellis. And I needed to go to the Interpol office, which is only in Managua, and was going to have to make at least 2 trips there, wound up being 3. So time well spent. But instead of finding a different rental and being a tourist for 2 weeks in Granada, which wasn't my intent is to start to develop the local community resources in Matagalpa, to go ahead and get my documentation that needs translation done, to get notarized done, to start sourcing attorneys, to start sourcing that long-term lease, because I need to find my long-term lease by May 1st so I can submit my residency by May 13th. That's the deadline before my health certificate will expire. And ideally, I can get all that done before I have to fly back the second time at the end of June. And my hope is that I'll have my long-term lease already established. I'll just be waiting for the response from Migracion. And then when I come back in mid-July, hopefully I get a, hey, by the way, welcome to your residency in Nicaragua. And I'll already have pretty much a shell of a rental. And then I can start buying appliances, buying furniture, and such, and live an inexpensive life for a year, stashing more money away so potentially I can purchase after a year, or possibly even build in 2 years. The longer you rent here, the more money you save. So ultimately, I'm getting an extra 13 days in the city I wanted to move to anyways. I'm giving myself an extra 13 days to learn the community, and I'm paying less for the 13 days plus this night than I would have paid for the 2 weeks that I'm about to get refunded for the original location here. So it's 19 minutes of nothing went as planned, and yet it all worked out. Inconveniences, I've either hit net zero or I'm at a positive with my money and ultimately my time resource. So is it upsetting when things don't go well and people just don't answer the phone or don't show up when they're supposed to pick you up, or are overcharging you or not providing proper? Yeah, all that can be annoying. But the end of this is I'm retired. I'm here to focus on better food, surround myself with good people, and work on music. That's my retirement goals. I'm going to get to the town I want to live in 2 weeks earlier than planned, and I'm going to save a little money in the process. I got a great scenic drive on the way into Granada. I'm staying in a hotel for one night with really great owners. I had a nice meal. I got to tour a town that I hadn't seen before, and now I have reasons to come back and visit again someday in the future. So that's not turning the frown upside down, but that's kind of the way you need to be looking at things, because especially when you're going to other cultures, and Nicaragua is definitely a different culture, things are not going to go as planned, but can you plan on working around those things? That's over 20 minutes worth. That was my update on the night. I will give an update tomorrow with maybe some shots from the drive. It's normally a little too bumpy in the cars to get good video. And then also when I'm in big crowds, people don't like a camera in their face. So obviously I'll get some shots when I get to the new hotel. It's a very simple place. Again, I don't need luxury. I need a place to securely lock my stuff, be able to sleep comfortably, and have a hot shower. That's really the focus of this 2 weeks before I get over to the main condo, where I have much more room to myself, my own kitchen, my own bathroom with hot shower. And with that, I wish you all well, and adios.